Hello and welcome, and a special welcome tonight to the winner of the Leeds International Piano Competition, Alim Beisembayev from Kazakhstan, who gave an stunning performance, I gather, of Rachmaninov's Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini. Now, hang on a minute, I imagine some of you are thinking, it's normal to play a concerto in the Leeds final. What about this Rhapsody thing? Well, some people say that Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody really is a concerto by another name. I've heard one conductor say that it's actually Rachmaninoff's best concerto. But there's also much more to it than that. It's also a brilliant, spectacularly colourful tone poem about virtuosity as a kind of black magic, centred on the image of the 19th century violin virtuoso Niccolo Paganini, who was a kind of rock star success in his own day. His fantastic, almost supernatural acrobatic violin skills, his power to mesmerize an orchestra. Some people said that he must have sold his soul to the devil to attain skills like that. And I'm sure that that was at the back of Rachmaninoff's mind. He loved dark, Gothic subjects. He wrote a tone poem, for instance, with the title The Isle of the Dead, inspired by a spectacularly gloomy painting by a Swiss painter named Berkelin. And he also had a great love of the gloomy Roman Catholic plain chant about the Day of Judgment, Dies Irae. The opening phrase. Haunts Rachmaninoff's music. In fact, it really is the word haunt. You'll hear it on the brass, especially at the magnificent, exhilarating ending of the Paganini Rhapsody. But also there's the theme of Paganini itself. Now, when you hear it, quite a few of you will recognise it, especially if you used to watch the old ITV Arts series, The South Bank Show. It has a simple but very distinctive shape. It's also much easier to play on the violin than on the piano. And so on. But the other thing that's really interesting about this theme is that actually Rachmaninoff introduces it before we hear the theme itself by playing as what you might call its skeleton, which is rather apt for such a spooky piece. It's the basic outline of the theme, stripped, if you might say, of all the motivic characteristics. It's highly distinctive, though. It doesn't matter what Rachmaninoff does with it, whatever fantastical or beautiful variations he weaves on that, or if you like, puts all kind of different kinds of flesh on the skeleton, you can still recognize its basic identity, so that no matter wherever you are in the piece, you can kind of feel it rotating always somewhere in the background. And in a sense, this piece is most of all about Rachmaninoff's own virtuosity. He was a spectacularly gifted pianist. In fact, some people have suggested that he was one of the greatest, if not the greatest, pianists of the 20th century. And he gave the premiere of this work, and of course it was a sensational success. But it's also about Rachmaninoff's virtuosity as a composer. In a way, he's saying to us, just look what I can do with this incredibly simple theme. And it is astonishing just how many transformations, how many glorious, thrilling, exciting, moving transformations he puts this theme through. I want to pick out one of these for you, which is, for me, a especially clever moment. Now, Rachmaninoff is often described as a big heart-on-the-sleeve composer. He's one of these Russians who's always emoting. You know, there's not a lot of intellectuality to Rachmaninoff's work. Well, that's a load of rubbish. He was also a very clever composer too. And I want to give you one marvellous example of this. About 2/3 of the way through the Rhapsody comes a gorgeous long melody, and Rachmaninoff was quite a specialist in gorgeous long melodies. It almost feels like a kind of love theme. I'll just pick it out on the piano. It sounds spontaneous. Such a melody like that can only be a gift of God, straight from the heart. And yet Rachmaninoff achieves it by cunningly turning Paganini's theme on its head. It's an inversion. I'll play the opening of the Paganini theme slowly. If you put that theme basically upside down, strip it out of some of its rhythmic frills, and you get this. In other words, Rachmaninov has arrived at this gorgeous tune by a piece of calculation, the kind of calculation you associate with people like Bach or even with modernists like Schoenberg, not with these great romantic Russians. But there it is, and it's all part of the incredible devilry of this piece. It's the kind of thing I like to point out to you. There's so much more of that kind of thing going on in the piece too. But in a way, the best way to enjoy it is just to lie back and let it hypnotize you, just as Paganini's own playing clearly did in its own time. It's that sort of piece. And before that, we hear the devilish, a different kind of devilish enchantment in Wagner's Tannhäuser Overture. And then perhaps it'll all be exorcised for us by the much more pure, fresh air, natural, pastoral beauty and joy of Dvořák's 8th Symphony. But in any case, it's a treat, this concert, on so many levels, and I do hope you enjoy it.